What's up guys, Max Tech Toy Box here, and today we're doing a video review of the Polar Ignite. So to start things off, we're going to do a quick unboxing video. Okay, so I've been using the Polar Ignite for quite some time now. I'm ready to give you guys my final thoughts and review. So as always, we'll start off by talking about the look of the device. Let me get this off. So around back, we do have that heart rate monitor, which Polar is advertising as the Precision Prime technology sensor. Around front, fairly minimal. Only one button on the side here that you can use sort of to go back and forth. Again, around back, you drive that these 20mm quick disconnect and connect wrist straps, which is great. And then on front, nothing else. It's just a touchscreen. You have that flat tire display. We can't really talk about the look without going over the UI. So let's talk about that now. So taking a look at the UI here. So this is, I have it on do not disturb mode right now. So I have to press this button, turn on. It does have a tilt to wake feature as well. So when you swipe over, you swipe over here, the time always stays in the center. This is your activity bubble, let you know today's my rest day, so I haven't done anything. Swipe over, it'll tell you your current heart rate. Swipe over again. Your latest training session was 25 hours ago. Of course, if I wanted to tap that, so I tap that and then it'll tell me, okay, well, I did a strength training this date, this is how long it lasted. I can tap into it and get a little bit more information about the heart rate zones I was in, cardio load, calories burned. So really in-depth information. As you guys can see, the touchscreen is not super responsive, or maybe I have to go back. Pretty sure I could swipe back before though. Let me see. Yeah, so you can swipe back, but the touchscreen is just not super responsive. I will say on video, this looks like a great AMOLED display. The screen is definitely not as good as it shows up here. I will say that, guys. Let me turn this back on again. Swipe over. And then this here is nightly recharge. So this is the body battery element. So it tells me ANS stands for autonomic nervous system versus sleep charge. So autonomic nervous system charge is decreased. Sleep charge is supposed to be good. We'll tap that to see if there's anything more. No, that's all the information. Okay, so we can swipe down. So here, it'll give you ANS details. If I tap there, I think if I hit open, it's gonna open up on the, there we go. So it just says that below usual, which is not good. So that means that I was pushing my body a little bit too much, and maybe I need to bring things back a little bit because my autonomic nervous system was just not charged as well. And then here it just gives you so much information. What my heart rate average was, 28-day average, beat to beat interval. So this is the heart rate variability down here. So just a whole bunch of information, respiratory rate as well that I got last night. And then of course 28-day average, what that information tells you there as well. So swipe back here. Okay, I'll just hit the back button. And then again, if you swipe over, strength. So this does sort of give you insight on what they think exercises you should do. So they think that I should do some strength training today. Swipe over again, and then this is just your main screen. So if you swipe up, I don't want to put anybody on blast. See if I can show you guys. Oh, okay, so this is just a notification here, just showing me the day. This is just through Google Now, and that pops up. And here, just a text message that I also got, so you guys can see what those messages look like. Okay, so I wish that you could fit more information on the screen. You can't, and then of course these are not actionable, so there's nothing else that I can do from this screen here. And then one last thing, if you swipe up from here, it will give you the option to turn do not disturb on. You can lock the screen or go into airplane mode. Okay, so let's talk about the pros of the device. So it is a great fitness tracker. You have built-in GPS, and of course you have that heart rate monitor around back. GPS is fairly accurate when I compared it to my cellular device, right on cue, pretty much one of the best GPS fitness trackers that I've seen. And this only has GPS, if I'm not mistaken, so it doesn't have GLONASS or Galileo, but in comparison to other sensors or other watches that had all three sensors, this was a lot more accurate, which is pretty good. So kudos to Polar for making sure that this was a great GPS system. Okay, like I said, you do have all-day heart rate monitoring. This is a great sleep tracker as well. You do get your steps, your step count throughout the day as well. Okay, so we can't talk about the device without talking about the application on the phone. And the Polar Flow application has so much information, very, very robust, which I'll get to in just a second. So for your fitness features and sports profiles, Polar has a huge catalog of sports profiles actually. So I want to say it's between 70 to 100, if not more. I'm talking about yoga, basketball, football, kayaking, canoeing, strength training, running, treadmill. There's so much information, or so many different sports profiles that they have, which is great. And of course, with a lot of other features, what they do is they give you that other sort of category. And when you record things under other, you're still getting the same sort of metrics, but it's just not the same because you don't have that title, to go over it. So, for example, when you're going back and looking at your tracking history, you have a whole bunch of things under other. You don't necessarily know what it was that you were doing. But if you have something labeled under basketball, football, yoga, canoeing, then you know what exercise you did. So again, kudos to Polar for doing that, because they're pretty much one of the only companies that I know of that have that much of a robust sports profile system. So you can store up to 20 on the device itself. And then of course you can go in through the application and change which 20 you do have. Also, if I'm talking about the heart rate monitor really quickly, with this huge sensor on the back, you would think that it would be really, really accurate. I found it to be above average in comparison to other sensors, but the magic behind the heart rate monitor is not just in your fitness tracking. It has more so to do with the information that it collects while you're sleeping, which we will touch on in a second. And also, you have the ability to connect Bluetooth heart rate monitors to this device as well, so that way you can get more accurate information. So again, kudos to Polar for putting a check mark in that box as well, for allowing users that ability to do that. Okay. So now the Polar Flow application. Polar Flow application has a lot of information within the app. I think if I was comparing this to other fitness tracking applications, I do think that the Garmin Connect just presents information in a lot more digestible format. Polar, not so much. And this could be biased because I've used both platforms. I've reviewed a couple of different Polar products and used them in some time. And then I've looked at a couple of different Garmin profile products as well. And I just feel like the Garmin Connect application is just easier to digest, okay? So within the Polar Flow application, when you're looking at things like sleep tracking, there's so much information that's brought into that application. So if I'm comparing it to other companies, usually you get your REM sleep, light sleep, and deep sleep, and then the amount of time that spent sleeping, which this has. But then this provides so much more information within that. So very in-depth in terms of the information that it supplies from the data that the watch records. So for example, in-depth information about sleep tracking is a lot more than other trackers. It actually breaks it down into 3 different categories. You have sleep amount, sleep solidity, and then sleep regeneration. And then under sleep solidity, you have long interruptions continuity. Under sleep regeneration, you have REM sleep, deep sleep, and light sleep, which is great. So like I said, really in-depth information. And there's really no gold standard or no way to say which fitness tracker is really monitoring or getting the most accurate information. You just sort of have to take them by their word. And the fact that this records a lot more information just leads the user to believe that this information must be a lot more accurate. There's no way for me to prove that, but that's just the way that it sort of leads you to believe. Also, this has something called body battery. So body battery, you need to wear the watch for at least 3 days so that it could come up with this body battery number, okay, this figure. And that's using autonomic nervous system and sleep, okay? And it puts those two values together by measuring heart rate variability, and respirations during the first 4 hours of sleep to come up with how your body is sort of regenerating and how it dealt with the stress levels from the exercises that you have performed from earlier in the day. Very, very just in-depth detail, and my hat goes off to Polar because there's no one really doing that, giving you that much information. And that's where that Precision Prime fusion technology for the heart rate sensor comes into play. So like I said, not the best heart rate monitor in terms of tracking during workouts, but from the information that it gathers while you're sleeping, just a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of data that it aggregates to give you information so that you know more about yourself and your post-workout habits and what you need to do to improve sleep, or what you need to do to maybe decrease how hard you're working out in one area so that your body can regenerate accordingly. Now let's go over to the cons. So me personally, I do not like the way that this watch looks. I thought that online, with the screens and what they show, it looks better. The screen looks a lot brighter. The screen is not as bright. Once you see that flat tire at the bottom there, you cannot unsee it, unfortunately. Let's see, it might be easier. So you cannot unsee that flat tire. It's just very ugly in my opinion. I wish that that wasn't there. Also, so when I'm talking about, I should have started this off by saying that I'm talking about the build quality of the device and not just look either, because this has a very cheap vibration motor. So I actually had to end up leaving this watch on Do Not Disturb because when I would receive notifications, it just sounded so cheap. The vibration motor. I'm going to give you guys a clip of that sound now. So just not very high quality sounding, and this is a $230 watch, so you could say that it's on the lower end of your high-end fitness tracker, sure, but then you can pick up a Wear OS watch for $200, maybe even $99 since Fossil Sports watch, they had like a sale recently, and those motors are a lot better. So a little disappointing in that the hardware was just not as good to go along with the robust software information within this. And then speaking of notifications, I could not find a way to toggle which applications I wanted to receive notifications for, which normally you can do that with pretty much any and every smart watch type device. So I would get notifications for while I was navigating to a place, or if I was downloading music, and it would just constantly be vibrating on my wrist and very, very annoying, super annoying. So I ended up, like I said, just putting it on Do Not Disturb mode because of that. Another con with this watch, unfortunately, is there's no auto sync in the background. The only way that this syncs is when you log into the Polar Connect application, and once you log into the Polar Connect application, it'll sync. And I did have some syncing issues when using the device as well, or at least the watch would report could not sync with phone, but then all my information would be in the phone, so some bugs definitely within the operating system and within the application. It's very weird to me that you have to force an auto sync when you are getting notifications around the clock from the device. So I wish that that just automatically synced in the background, just like pretty much any and every other fitness tracker in this day and age. And then next up, battery life. So you're not going to get more than a day and a half out of this battery. I mean, if you're working out, and this is what it's designed to do, you're working out and using this device daily, you're going to get maybe a day and a half, and it's gonna have to sit on the charger, which is unfortunate. I wish that with the sacrifices that they made with the design overall, like for example, that really black bezel, it probably doesn't pick up much on camera. You would think that they were able just to hide more internals there, but I guess maybe a lot of that just has to do with the heart rate monitor on the back there. Maybe you would be able to fit a bigger battery, but yeah, if you're wearing this all day and you're using it for sleep tracking as well, when you wake up the next day, you're more than likely going to need to put it on the charger. However, I guess I should have stated that that's a pro in the fact that the charger charges really fast, extremely quickly. I mean, in 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to get to 100%. Most of the time when I was putting this on charge, like for example, I charged it for about 5 to 10 minutes and it jumped up from 2% to it jumped up from 35% to 55% in 10 minutes. So that's a 20% increase in just 10 minutes. So 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to get close to 100 if you do that quick math in your head. So overall, I like what Polar did here. I think that I might give a a stab at the Polar Vantage, maybe. Another con that I didn't mention is there's one-way notifications only, so they're not actionable. And the way that the notifications appear on the screen, because this is not a high resolution display, they don't look that great, unfortunately. So it sort of is what it is. I know what this is designed to be. It's designed to be a sports watch first and a smartwatch second. And in terms of it being a fitness tracker sports watch, it's great. I do think that you need to have a little bit more battery though. If what this is going to be doing is just monitoring your calories burned and heart rate monitoring while you're recording these different sports profiles, then I think that you need to have a little bit better battery management there. However, in terms of it being a smartwatch, it's not. I really did like the Polar M400, as I touched on earlier. That Polar decided to sort of get away with. I wish that they could have done a little bit more with that platform with Wear OS to really give a more complete smartwatch, if you will. So overall, I think this is a really good fitness tracker, not so good smartwatch. If you're someone that likes to look at the information gathered and you want to make sure that you're getting precision data and you're really worried about how your body is regenerating after you do these different workouts, then you could not go wrong with purchasing this device. So this is Max Tech Toy Box signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the video review. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know you guys' thoughts if you guys have anything or any questions about this device. So until you guys see me again, peace.